Another chapter in Derek Jeter's career timeline. Look at that. June 26, 1974. He can thank his parents for this. He was born. And then on June 1st, 1992, he's drafted by the Yankees. Today is June 1st, 2022. What is that, 30 years? Damn, I feel old. Okay, the timeline, follow it to the end. This is one of the biggest reasons we're talking about this. Welcome to Twitter, Derek Jeter, because a complete stranger now will rip you to shreds momentarily. The Hall of Famer is like the last man on earth to join the social media platform. Also decided to, brave enough to create an Instagram account because apparently he wants all the smoke, although he asked everyone to go easy on him. Yeah, he was busy yesterday on Twitter. This is The Sweat, everyone. It's presented by DraftKings. I'm Emerson Lazia. A lot more baseball coming up because Jared Carrabis is going to join us in studio. He's going to talk about his biggest concern with the Red Sox, his message to a lot of Mariners and Phillies fans out there because I hear they are very sad and depressed right now. Plus, here, I'll take that, Billy. Sorry about that. A little coffee on the desk. Plus, is he Team Jock or Team Tommy in their little fantasy football kerfuffle? We got dudes slapping dudes now. So we're also going to break down NBA Finals, NHL Conference Semifinals, because last night was insane. Tonight is Game 1 in the East PGA Tour. But let's get going with our MLB panel first. All right, so Nick Fryer, Gary and Thorne, good morning. It is good to see both of you guys with facial hair. We are going to cover the bases now. We're going to start first base here, Gare Bear. Favorite DFS hitter to build around tonight? Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Aaron Judge. Now, this comes with a caveat of the 8 games on the main slate. I think this is the one you kind of have to circle and say this might be affected by weather. But legitimately, rain is the only thing that is going to stop Aaron Judge on this slate. I don't know why he is $5,300. It makes absolutely no sense. Not only does that make him only the 7th most expensive outfielder on this slate, he was well over $6,000 for like 2 consecutive weeks, less than 5-6 days ago. So I'm not quite sure what the algorithm saw in this particular matchup against Reed Detmers, who, by the way, since that no-hitter, has given up 8 earned runs and 4 home runs in his last 2 starts. He's not good. But Aaron Judge crushes left-handed pitching. He crushes everybody. He comes into this game leading baseball in expected slugging percentage at .750. And leading baseball in barrel rate. 25.8% of his batted ball events are barreled. I just think this is a massive mismatch. Again, you do have to watch out for the weather here, but if this game plays, Judge is going to have a huge performance.
All right, Fryer, do you have a man as large as Judge here to build around as your favorite DFS hitter?
I wouldn't say he's as large as Judge, but I think you could roster both of our hitters today. I got Ty France at 4.2K going up against the Orioles. And the big reason why, yes, Ty France is good, but also Kyle Bradish, not that great. Now Ty France had a 416 WOBA against right-handed pitching last month, 5 doubles, a pair of home runs, not a whole lot of soft contact too, which is great, awesome, love that. But when you look at what right-handed hitters done against Bradish over the past month, 449 hard contact rate, a 8.2 soft contact rate, a pretty high fly ball rate too, which turned into a lot of home runs, 7 home runs and a pair of doubles the last month. Right-handed hitters had against Bradish. So France is my guy. I think there's a lot of ways you can attack Bradish tonight, but France is the way I'd start it at 4.2K.
All right, Fryer, let's go to second base here. Best DFS value play. Who are you looking at?
Now, I do think you can go and, pile on a couple Mariners from that game, but I'm actually going to switch over to the Tigers Twins game, and I'm going to go back to Jonathan Scope at 3.4K. He had a 235 ISO against right-handed pitching in May. That was the result of 4 home runs, 5 doubles, and a triple. And he had a high contact rate against right-handed pitching too, 42.5%. I know Bailey Ober is like a solid pitcher, is 8.2K tonight. Definitely, I can see people rostering him every so often, but I know he had limited damage against right-handed hitters last month, but they still had a pretty high hard contact rate, 40%, and that fly ball rate at 48.9% too gives me reason to want to go and find a righty to target him with, and Scope is a good guy at 3.4K.
Gary, who are you going to target tonight for a DFS value?
I feel like Nick is like shaming me. I was really hoping to get Ty France as like my quote unquote value play because he's right in the middle there. He's like 4,200. So that's who I was going to go with. I think he's a fantastic play in general. And the fact that he's 4.2 is insane. So I will pivot to a different first baseman who falls under that 4K threshold, which I guess for the purposes of the rules is kind of like the value play barometer anyway. Rowdy Tellez. Anytime you can get Rowdy Tellez going up against a subpar right-handed pitcher, you should probably try and do that. He's just $3,800 tonight. I mentioned where Judge ranked in terms of like his expected statistic percentiles. Rowdy Tellez, 98th percentile expected slugging, 94th percentile expected WOBA so far this season. Tellez has been quietly tearing the cover off the ball in Milwaukee. He's got a 292 isolated power against right-handed pitchers. And I think we've finally seen like the end of Kyle Hendricks. Hendricks has been terrible so far this season for the Cubs. He's always struggled with left-handed bats, but never quite this much. 2.67 home runs per 9 for Kyle Hendricks so far this season. We know that Wrigley can play pretty small sometimes, and I think Rowdy Tellez is going to make it look really small tonight.
Well, Garion, let's hit up third base. Let's go to the DK Sportsbook. So give me your favorite player prop for tonight's slate.
So this is a player prop, but you can also kind of translate this logic into who my number one starting pitcher is on this particular slate. Robbie Ray is kind of back.
Oh.
Surface stats are not great, but the underlying stats are fantastic, and it really all comes down to his fastball velocity. His last 4 starts, that average fastball velocity is back up over 94 miles per hour, and because of that, in that 4-start span, this goes back to May 10th, Robbie Ray leads the league with a 38% strikeout rate, and he leads the league with a 22.5% swinging strike rate. The next closest guy, Shane McClanahan, 17.5%. That's how many swinging strikes Robbie Ray has been inducing over his past 5 starts. He's going to absolutely dominate the Orioles tonight, who have struggled immensely with left-handed pitching all season long. They've got the highest strikeout rate in the American League against left-handed pitchers at 26.2%. I think Robbie Ray crushes his strikeout prop tonight, which is 6.5. I think we're looking at 8, 9, 10 strikeouts for Robbie Ray on Wednesday.
All right, Fryer, what do you got for a player prop?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be had in that Mariners-Orioles game, and I'm actually going to go back to it with my favorite bet, and I guess Garion's favorite value play. Now I'm starting to figure out how he beats Steve all the time on Tuesdays. So what's it now? A thorn in my side now is what the segment's called?
I think I've lost the first 2 thorn in my side segments, so we don't have to talk about it too much.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, well, that's too bad. Anyways, Ty France over 1.5 total bases at even money. Talked about before how Kyle Bradish has struggled immensely against right-handed hitters over the past month, but over the entire season as well. I really like France in this spot tonight, and again, not a ton of soft contact, so this guy's not going to get cheated. So he can easily just do it in one swing of the bat, or get a couple hits throughout the game.
Fryer, take us home. I need your best bet on the DK Sportsbook for tonight's Major League Baseball slate, please.
Yeah, so Garion highlighted this a little bit already with Robbie Ray, talking about the disparity, and obviously I've talked a ton about Kyle Bradish to this point. I think when you look at that Mariners game, you can take them on the run line, or you can go into the innings section of DK Sportsbook and look at this game. And Garion, did we go on the same one here?
We're the exact same bet, I think. Okay.
You guys are terrible, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, the Mariners run line in the first 5 innings is my favorite bet. But if we're looking for another one, just so we have different ones here, the White Sox also on the money line, Kopech going up against Ryu. I like that one as well.
All right, Garen, anything you can add to that?
I'll just give the line. You've got the Mariners. For some reason, their money line is 145 tonight, but you can take them first 5 at minus 135. And the reason you're doing that is because of the just complete disparity in the starting pitching matchup. So that's probably the best way to bet this. I would back Nick up too. I think the White Sox with Luis Robert back, maybe with Yohan Moncada back tonight, going up against the left-handed Ryu, I think they're a pretty good option as well.
Fryer, are you going to follow Derek Jeter on Twitter?
Oh, absolutely. I was really hoping you were going to ask me about this. This is so stupid. This is all because Brady's turned into this next level thing. Yeah. And now Jeter's like, I got to capitalize on this too. I got to become this next big thing after I sucked with the Marlins. So yeah, this is exactly what this is.
I think I'm the best barometer for this because I hate both of those 2 athletes more than any other athletes on the face of the earth. And even I've had to admit that Tom Brady's good at Twitter. So ask me in a month if Derek Jeter has won me begrudgingly over, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, he started tweeting like a madman yesterday. It's like, damn, dude, save some Twitter for the rest of us, All right, guys, adios. Sure. Jared Carabas, who has twice or maybe 3 times as many Twitter followers as Derek Jeter, will join us here in studio for his weekly appearance coming up right after we dive into some NBA bets, some DFS talk right after this break. NBA Finals bets galore. Look at this on the DK Sportsbook. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Game 1 between the Celtics and Warriors. It gets going tomorrow. So right now, we're actually going to break down the finals markets with my dude, DraftKings contributor, Jeff Pratt. So let's start here, dude. What's a series special that stands out to you? So just for example, looking at it here, there's Tatum, Brown, and Curry to each average 25-plus points at plus 250.
Yeah, the obvious two that jump out to me are Curry to average 25 plus and the Warriors to win, and then Tatum to average 25 plus and the Celtics to win. Because at this point, it's just a pick 'em. I think realistically, both of these guys are going to average 25 plus in this series, and it will just come down to who wins. I like the Celtics, and I think you're getting better odds there, but both are worth taking, in my opinion. And then another one that I think might be worth taking on a long shot is any player to score 50 plus points in a finals game. It's at plus 1100 right now, I believe. You've got at least two players who can definitely go for 50 on any given night. Tatum did it twice this year. Curry did it once. Jaylen Brown got a 50 burger this year. It's certainly doable.
Yeah, you know what else is plus 1100 right there on your screen? Draymond to average 10 or more points and over 7 rebounds and 7 assists. Yeah? Yeah, Jeff?
I don't know. I actually think Draymond might have a hard time with the type of defensive players that the Celtics are going to throw at him. I think that containing him is a key for Boston in this series. They've got two guys who are capable of doing it. You know, Al Horford, look at the guys who he's defended throughout this postseason run. Kevin Durant at times. He stopped Giannis to an extent. No one stops Giannis, but he contained him. Bam Adebayo made him look like he wasn't even there for half of this series. So Draymond Green, different type of player because he's not looking to score. He's looking to get other guys more involved. But I think if they just make him uncomfortable, he might not be as much of a factor in this series as the Warriors would hope.
Yeah, and Jeff, you know this more than anybody. Like, the Celtics have had some ups and downs this postseason, like huge comeback wins, couple blown leads. And yeah, there's a market for that. I mean, will there be a comeback win of 20 or more points in the finals? It's plus 600 right now. So, like, I don't know, Jeff, maybe Boston's inexperienced. We'll put them in that, like, early hole, one they could possibly climb out of.
20 points is nothing in the NBA.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nothing. This could 100% happen either way. I think, you know, as a Celtics fan, we've seen so far throughout the year, even though they were dominant in the second half of the season, they were still prone to going 4 or 5 minute stretches where they just couldn't put the ball in the basket. We saw it at the end of Game 7. They almost lost to the Heat because they just could not score, and Marcus Smart decided to jack up 4 threes in the last 3 minutes of the game. They're not great at making decisions down the stretch, and while they are great at starting strong and building big leads, they often allow teams to climb back in them in relatively short stretches. And then the Warriors, again, this is an elite defensive team, but the Celtics are just as good defensively, if not better. They're capable of shutting them down for 5+ minute stretches at a time, and we know Boston's offense is also capable of going off during those periods. So either way, 20 plus points, it's nothing for both of these squads. That could absolutely happen.
And looking at more of these final props here, Jeff, like, who's going to have the highest single game scoring performance of the series? Like, Tatum is plus 165, Curry plus 175, top of the board. I know you've mentioned already a couple of these dudes who are capable of putting up a 50 burger.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to one of them. I like the value on Jaylen Brown here at plus 500. It feels like he's due for at least one huge game in this series, especially if he gets off to a strong start. Jaylen was among the league leaders in first quarter scoring this season, so all he needs is like a 15-ish point first quarter, and it could propel him to a huge night. And then call me crazy, but I think it might be worth taking a flyer on Marcus Smart.
What?
At plus 4,000 in this prop. I know. We're talking about a guy who probably has the most confidence in himself out of anyone else in this series. And we've got players with championship pedigree on the other side. The Warriors have been to the finals. They've been there, done that. We're talking about Steph Curry, the greatest three-point shooter in NBA history. And I think Marcus Smart might have more confidence in himself than Curry. Irrational or not, his confidence is through the roof, and that leads to a lot of shots. All he needs is to get hot one night. He could go for 35 or 40. We saw it a couple of years ago in the bubble against the Heat and the Raptors, where Smart would just take over quarters at times. It was really weird, but we know he's capable of doing it. Again, I keep going back to looking at guys who are capable of doing this. And as weird as it sounds, Marcus Smart at plus 4,000, I think there's some value there.
I could definitely see him taking 35, 40, 50 shots in a game, like
Sure.
like 100%. And I know yesterday, dude, like we talked a little bit about like who will be the series leading scorer, but how about like a series leader in rebounds, assists, or threes made? Like what's a bet you like there?
Yeah, Jason Tatum only has the 5th best odds to lead this series in rebounds, and he's been doing work on the glass all season long. He averaged a career high 8 boards per game entering the playoffs. In his last 4 games, he's at 8, 12, 9, and 10. I look at guys who have higher odds than Tatum on this list. Al Horford makes sense. I believe he's the favorite right now, but he averaged less rebounds than Tatum did this year. I'm not sure Kevon Looney is going to be able to play as much as people think in this series. And we look at Looney, he's been absolutely racking up the rebounds in these last couple of series. But Boston's capable of going small, and a guy like Robert Williams is a horrible matchup for Looney. He will just jump all over him. Speaking of Rob, who knows how much of an impact he'll have on the boards with a sore knee. We saw that he was present in the Miami series, but he wasn't really present. He didn't make his presence felt on the boards, at least. He had a couple of games where I think he had 2, 3 rebounds, one of them where he didn't have any rebounds at all, I believe. And then finally, Draymond Green, we know what he's capable of, but again, he's shorter, and this is another guy who averaged less boards per game than Jason Tatum this year. So I think at plus 950, again, just like Marcus Smart is great value at plus 4,000 to have the highest scoring performance here, I think Jason Tatum is even better value at plus 950 to lead the series in rebounds.
All right, let's get even more weird here. You can bet on the distance of the longest shot made in the finals. How many 35-plus foot shots will fall, and who's going to be hitting these shots from long distance? Jeff, this screams Steph Curry, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Curry could have 5+ of these just by himself. I have no idea how many 35-plus footers are going to go down in this series. I know there's going to be quite a few taken, and there are quite a few players who can hit them in this series. The first is obviously Curry, but then there's also Jordan Poole and Jaylen Brown, who really like to test the limits of their range when there's a lot of momentum going in their way. These guys are prone to heat checks. Jason Tatum has been known to pull from deep at times. Marcus Smart, who knows? Like, these are guys with a lot of confidence in their jump shot, and I think that we could see at least 5+ 35-footers go down here. Maybe Curry hits all of them. Maybe we get 10, 15. I have no idea what to expect for this prop, to be honest with you, Emerson.
What about what to expect in DFS? There is a fat milli maker available for tomorrow night's game 1 on DraftKings. Like, who do you think is going to be the best DFS play in this series? Or you could just focus on like tomorrow night as well.
Sure, it's going to be tough because there are so many different potential matchups in these series. Both of these teams are capable of throwing a bunch of different lineups out there. Who knows? Do the Warriors roll with Looney a lot, or do they go small for the majority of the series? Do the Celtics roll out Al Horford and Robert Williams to start, or do they go small with Grant Williams at the 4? Does Derek White start at the 2? Again, there's a ton of different combinations to run with in this series. A guy who I like, who performed really well against the Miami Heat, is Derek White. And I think this is a much better matchup for him. The Heat, when he was on the floor, they like to take advantage of him. They like to switch him on to Jimmy Butler, and he was just taking him to town. Jimmy Butler's got, 30+ pounds on him. He's bigger. He's much more experienced. He can get to his spot. But Derek White is going to see quite a few minutes on Steph Curry and Jordan Poole in this series. And those are guys that not only is he capable of guarding, but he is capable of shutting down. He's bigger than them. Yeah. He's longer than them. And on the offensive side of the ball, it feels like he's found his shot. He hit a couple of big threes in Game 7. He hit a couple of big threes in Game 6 that almost propelled the Celtics to the NBA Finals back in Boston. I think Poole is a great value. Not Poole. Sorry, Derek White is a great value throughout this entire series. Yeah,
$5,400 for tomorrow night. Definitely that guy that can get you that 15 to 20 point performance with potential to maybe 25, 30 there at a low cost. I think you're onto something there. Anyone you expect to be a DFS disappointment here, especially with the Celtics defense? You think they can kind of take away one of their best players?
I'm not sure if they're going to take away one of their best players. I kind of expect Andrew Wiggins to not be a statistical monster in this series. And that's because he's going to have his hands full with Jason Tatum on a nightly basis. And we look at Andrew Wiggins, When he was in Minnesota, we all knew he was the first option. Just wasn't getting it done, extremely inefficient. He comes to Golden State, and he seems to have finally found his role because he can hit this open shots, but defensively is where he has made the most progress in his career. He has become one of their best perimeter defenders. Also, he's huge, so he can bang down low. He's going to see Jason Tatum a lot in this series. Most of his effort, I feel like, is going to be done on the defensive end. And then offensively, it feels like he might just be a bit of an afterthought with how many other scoring weapons. We know that Wiggins has been good throughout the postseason, but I feel like this might not be his series, you know?
Yeah, and Wiggins, I remember yesterday we were talking to Nick Whalen about it. Wiggins is actually now cheaper than Looney, which speaks to like how well Looney's been playing in the playoffs, especially last series. Jeff, you're free to go, dude. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us. We appreciate it, man. We'll have more on Game 1 coverage on the Sweat here tomorrow morning. But right now, I caught up with Jared Carrabis yesterday here in studio. We talked baseball. We talked the Red Sox. Yes, we talked about a dude on the Reds slapping a dude on the Giants because of a fantasy football dispute. A lot more sprinkled in there, too. So that is coming up right after this break. All right, everybody. It's time for the takeoff, where we are joined in studio, or maybe one day like on Zoom, by Jared Carrabis. We're going to talk baseball.
Wow.
Imagine
I
that.
love baseball.
I know
That's
you do.
perfect.
You love baseball so much. You were taking BP at Fenway this morning. How'd that go?
Yeah, it did. I don't want to brag or anything, but like everything was hit right on the screws. Exit velocity was probably sitting like 95 to 98 miles an hour, which is pretty much what Rafael Devers has done in the month of May so far.
You're like a poor man's Rafael Devers.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like a right-handed Rafael Devers.
Okay.
And did you see that tweet?
I did.
So people don't believe me, but like if I wanted to, I could have played professional baseball. I didn't want to because A, I don't want to travel. You got to travel a lot if you're a Major League Baseball player. And 2, career longevity. If you go right into media, it's like you can be in the media for as long as you want. You can't play baseball forever. I can't be like 40-something years old playing Major League Baseball. So I got a head start.
Thank you for thinking of the people.
Yeah.
And realizing that like we need you and we rely on you. And I've got to thank you as well for your bravery last week when you were in this studio on this desk and you said, hey, the Red Sox are going to make it to the World Series.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, so it's been a week. I'm sure you're still a confident man at this point. But if you had any concerns about this team right now, what would it be?
The bullpen. Friday night.
Yeah.
I'm at Fenway Park trying to enjoy myself,
Yep.
making an attempt to enjoy myself. 6-0 lead, an 8-2 lead. The Red Sox lose that ball game, by the way, to a last place team. Not a good time. I didn't enjoy that. I was actually having a conversation before that game about, the Red Sox don't have a closer, but if you were to have a 3-2 ball game, Yankee Stadium, 9th inning, who do you put in that game? And the conversation revolved around Diekman and Strom.
I was going to say Barnes is out, even though he's been paid to be the closer like in the past.
Yeah. But you have those two guys are probably your most reliable arms. Those are the two guys that blew that game on Friday against the last place team. So I don't know. You need some help. I'm not saying just because of one game that the whole bullpen blew out. I'm not saying that. But you need some help in that bullpen. Does it come internally? Do you have Heim go out and make a trade? What do you do? I don't know. That is up to Heim.
Yeah, and it's the Red Sox aren't even the team you refer to as America's team. That's
the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, that's the Mariners right now, and the Mariners
they stink.
Yeah, not doing too hot. Like, what do they need to do in order to get back into playoff contention here? Because 10.5 games back of Houston. Looking at the standings, oh man, they're 6.5 games back of the Angels in the final wild card spot.
Yeah, well, they've had some things not work out. Jared
Obviously.
Kelenic. Yeah, Jared Kelenic is a guy that he came over in the Robinson Cano trade. They put a lot of eggs in that basket in terms of this is the future. They've had to send him down. They spent some money on Robbie Ray, reigning Cy Young Award winner, and there's been some major regression with him. So they've had some things that they were like, all right, here we put this piece here, we put this piece there. And those pieces haven't quite fit.
Yeah, like Phillies fans are hurting too.
Oh.
That's another team similar to the Mariners, like high preseason expectations. Next thing you know, you're nearly a dozen games back in the NL East. You've lost 11 of the last 15. I'm looking at Phillies fans like all over Twitter, and they're like, we're just numb to the pain right now.
Sure.
Is there something that you could say to them to help soothe their souls?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. I mean, it's
your
not a
fault.
good time. It's Dave Dombrowski's team. He's built this team, and we've seen Dave Dombrowski build a team over here that was built on offense. It was not built on a good bullpen. The Phillies' bullpen stinks. They've blown a lot of games late, and they were supposed to be a team that was going to hit. I mean, this was supposed to be an offensive team. They signed Kyle Schwarber. They bring in Nick Castellanos on a free agent contract. But in the last month, Bryce Harper has a torn UCL. And in the month of May, he's hitting like 368 with an OPS well over 1,000. So you've got Bryce Harper, you've got Gene Segura, and then everyone else offensively has done next to nothing.
Yep.
And this team was supposed to be their strength as their offense. They haven't hit.
Yeah, because you had a few other pieces in place too. It's Zach Wheeler, right? JT Realmuto.
Yeah,
was like
there was a big groundswell to bring back JT Realmuto. He hasn't hit this month. I mean, it really has been Bryce Harper and Gene Segura, and that's it.
You know who's hit this month is Paul Goldschmidt.
He has.
Dude, ridiculous. 10 home runs, 32 RBI in the month of May alone. And he had only one tater, I think, in April.
Yeah.
So, and I think traditionally he's known to get off to these like slow starts. But are you buying or selling that he is in the National League MVP conversation now?
He's in the conversation. My pick was Nolan Arenado.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they've almost had flip-flop Aprils and Mays. Like Nolan came out, had a monster April. He hasn't been good in May. Paul Goldschmidt, not so great in April, and he's had one of the best single months in St. Louis Cardinals history in the month of May. I think he still leads the majors in extra base hits for the month of May. I think he's hitting over He is hitting over 400 for the month of May. The guys. That's what they need in the middle of that order, but they need to get Nolan and Goldschmidt on the same page at the same time. That can make them a scary team in the Central.
Yeah, Arenado, I think plus 1,100 now in the DK Sportsbook for MVP. Goldschmidt plus 750. And I know he's finished second in the MVP voting twice in his 12-year career.
He's a beast. Probably one of the most underrated players.
Yeah.
Like even now, like when you talk about the St. Louis Cardinals, I feel like the conversation will naturally go to Nolan Arenado. The preseason, like we talked, like he was my preseason MVP pick was Arenado because he can play platinum glove defense, not just gold glove defense. He's got platinum gloves and he's got 40 home run capability. He's a well-rounded player. But then when you talk about the MVP conversation and who could be that guy to come out of the Cardinals, why aren't more people talking about a guy like Paul Goldschmidt, the guy that's right across from the diamond? He has the ability and he's showing it to you in the month of May.
You know what people are talking about right now?
What are they talking about?
They're talking about Jock Peterson being slapped by Tommy Pham,
Yeah.
dude, over this like fantasy football controversy. All right, which side are you on here? Are you on Team Tommy or are you on Team Jock?
Well, as we sit here right now, Tommy Pham is maybe a half-hour walk away. So I'm on Team Tommy Pham, dude. I mean,
Really?
Yeah.
What?
If you ask me this question next week, maybe my opinion changes. But I'm not going to talk that trash on Tommy Pham while he's in the neighborhood, when he's within slapping distance. Just not
Come
doing
on,
it.
man.
No.
No.
There's too many people out here that think that they can say whatever they want and not get slapped. I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to say whatever I want about
Okay.
Tommy Pham because he's going to slap the taste
But
out of my mouth.
he wasn't necessarily like slapping Jock because Jock wanted to like say what he wanted to say. Jock was very nice and he had receipts
He's
too.
a very nice guy.
He pulled a move in fantasy football that is technically like legal. And then Pham
Did the same thing.
This is the biggest no-no. Yes, he did the same thing, but he left the league around
did
like
leave the
week
league.
4 or 5. That's a cardinal sin in fantasy football. Like never again should he be allowed to play fantasy football. I'm sorry.
At least with those guys.
You can't defend that.
No, I definitely don't defend it. I think the other thing, too, is that there was this story earlier in the season where, Tommy Pham created it himself. He said, I'm here to put up numbers, and it came off as, I don't really care about my team. I don't care about my teammates. I'm just here to put up
And then he got off
numbers.
to like this terrible start.
Got off to the terrible start, and then there
team's
was
not good.
the home plate collision with Luke Voigt,
Yeah.
and he had nothing to do with the collision, but immediately he was like, hey, I'm going to beat up Luke Voigt, who's a big human. I've been in the presence of Luke Voigt, big dude.
Yeah.
He's a big human. So I think that that's kind of what it is you talk that trash about the San Diego Padres, and he's like, hey, you know what? A lot of people saying I'm not a good teammate. Smack. Now I'm defending a team that I'm not even on anymore.
I want a Jock Peterson, Tommy Pham trial, like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Like I want all the evidence. I want the entire thing on television.
Yeah. Well, I think Jock Peterson is kind of like golden retriever brain.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that he's even processed what's happened, and he's in a way already moved on from this and forgot that it happened.
Okay.
He's not like.
So you're saying he has like a mind of a goldfish, you know?
Kind of in a way, yeah. But he's just happy to be there. He's one of those happy-go-lucky
How you
guys.
doing, guys?
Yeah,
Great to be here in the clubhouse with you.
Yeah.
Before you're going, we want to make this, and now that you're going to be joining us on a consistent basis, we want to give you an opportunity here. This is a safe space inside the DK studio.
Sure.
So I want you to kind of give us your hot take du jour here.
Ooh.
So is there something that's like, stewing between the ears here, something you want to go off about? A hot take. What's got you worked up this week?
Man, what's got me worked up this week? You know what? I feel like not enough people are talking about the Minnesota Twins. The Minnesota Twins are one of those teams right now, last place last year, so they've been riding the first place train so far this season. They have they're not fluky, which I feel like a lot of like last to first teams. It's like, all right, well maybe you had a little like beginner's luck to start the year. I think the Minnesota Twins are not getting enough love. I think that if Byron Buxton stays healthy, that this team, because you talk about the American League, a lot of people are on the Yankees. A lot of people are still talking about the Houston Astros. There's no love for the Twins. And you know what? Maybe the Twins are going to be in the ALCS this year. Maybe they are. I don't know. Are you sleeping on the Twins?
No, I'm not sleeping on the Twins at all.
I haven't heard you talk about the Twins.
I've been sleeping on the Twins this entire season.
Twins.
Yeah. So ALCS against the Red Sox.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Yeah.
All right, that's the takeoff, everybody. Appreciate you, man.
Anytime.
Let's put some tattoos on his arms.
I know.
Please. Come on.
Some biceps.
Okay, so last night was electric. It was bananas. You had the Avs and Oilers combining for 14 goals, which it's kind of crazy. It's not even the most goals we've seen scored in a game this postseason. The second most goals, though, in an NHL Conference Finals game. So RotoWire's AJ Scholz and Paul Bruno are here. Good morning, gentlemen. Paul, 14 goals from 13 different goal scorers in the first game. Who saw that coming?
Well, AJ and I did. We talked about it not only on your show, but we talked about it at length on our podcast yesterday, alluding to the fact that we don't see any way that either team's defenses are committed enough to restrict the scoring exploits of the top six skaters up front and a couple of defensemen on each club. So not at all surprised. The goaltending was subpar. I thought we'd see all four goalies in this series. I just didn't expect them all to show up in the first game.
AJ, I was going to ask you if you were brave enough to take the under 7 goals at plus money in game 2 tomorrow night, but that has changed already on the DK Sportsbook, within the past hour here. So under 7.5 now, minus 125. Over 7.5 is where you can get the plus money.
Take it. Take the plus money.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The goaltending, as Paul said, Paul was being generous, calling it subpar. It was atrocious. You just terrible goal scoring. As you mentioned, despite it being a lot of different guys that score, it was still the stars out in full force here. I mean, McKinnon, Landeskog, and Rantanen, all with a goal and an assist. Draisaitl 2 points. McDavid with 3 points. So I think we are going to see more of the same. I would be shocked if we see Mike Smith start in game 2. At this point, Mikko Koskinen can't be any worse. I think we'll still see Darcy Kemper depending on health. But no update from the team there. So it could be Pavel Francouz going for Colorado, which isn't going to improve their chances. So the starting goaltenders weren't good, and we might get the backups in the next game. So hammer the over in this one. Get it now while you can still get plus value on it.
Starting goaltenders are damn good in the Eastern Conference, where those finals get going tonight. Game 1 between the Rangers and the Lightning. Yeah, time to watch, Igor Shesterkin and Andrei Vasilevsky make their case for best goalie in the world. So Tampa Bay, you see the numbers here on the screen for tonight. But I want to talk series as a whole really quick, guys. Like Tampa Bay minus 175 to win the series. Rangers plus 150. New York is the higher seed with home ice advantage here. Which way are you leaning in this series ahead of Game 1, AJ?
I'm leaning towards the Lightning. I've been saying this all postseason that until the Lightning prove me wrong, I'm going to keep riding them as I have been for the last 2 years. I think the key to both sides centers around Andrei Vasilevsky. For the Bolts, can he remain practically unbeatable as he has been, especially in the previous series? For the Rangers, can they figure out how to score more than one goal against him? Look, if they're only able to get one goal, maybe they still win a game because it's possible Shesterkin could pitch a shutout in a game or two here. But I wouldn't be banking on that every single night. I think they also need more out of Artemi Panarin for the Rangers. And then the Lightning, can they continue to produce offensively without Braden Point, who it's looking like is not going to be available for game one, possibly more here. So it all comes down to, can the Rangers score enough goals? Because asking Shesterkin to pitch a shutout every single night is a big, tall task.
I mean, Paul, for the Rangers, like, it's taken 2 Game 7s, 5 elimination game wins, and quite a bit of luck to get here. But that really doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't. But that only tells part of the story with the Rangers, Emerson. They're 3 years away from the start of this rebuild that they've done on the fly, and they've already had this level of success. They're behind the closed doors of that dressing room. I have to think there's an element of being somewhat satisfied, whether they don't want to admit it or don't know how to express that. But they're going up against the 2-time defending champs. And I look for Tampa to do what they've been doing in the last 5 games, and that is keep the Rangers to the outside and collapse around their net and let Vasilevsky continue to weave his magic and counterpunch the Rangers' offense to death. New York has to get more depth scoring here, I think, that because Tampa will be focused on checking their top line. And with Hedman seeing them, that group all night long, that's going to be a tough nut to crack. So I think the challenge for the Rangers is to see if they can get more scoring than beyond their top 3 guys on offense.
All right, Paul, let's talk a little DraftKings showdown for Wednesday night in New York. Who is your captain going to be here? So 1.5 times the salary, but you get 1.5 times the point return.
Yeah, you have to go. I think you got to go to the top of the ladder and look at Vasilevsky. There's a reason why he's priced at the top of the list. And I know it's going to cost you, but if you miss out, you may find yourself with an insurmountable deficit against a lot of people who will take the plunge. I think his ownership's going to be high, and I would be on that because it's almost a sure thing that he's going to do what he does. And the pivoting away from him will only eliminate you from competition in a lot of tonight's contests. I really believe that.
Okay, AJ, do you agree with that?
I was going to agree with it until Paul said that he was pretty much a sure thing. I think he just jinxed it. But
yeah,
in general, yeah, I think Vasilevsky as your captain is the play here. Now, if you're on the Rangers, if you don't agree with Paul and I that the Lightning are probably going to take game 1 and you're on the Rangers, then I think you go with Shesterkin. I mean, I think the goaltenders are going to be the focal point here. So for everybody out there building their lineups, decide which team you think is going to win and go with that goaltender as your captain. For me, it's Vasilevsky.
Well, AJ, over on the DK Sportsbook, who is a goal scorer bet you like tonight? You got one?
Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit off the board here, but it's actually Tampa Bay. For their leading goal scorer is Ross Colton. Pretty, not well-known name here, but he's tied with Corey Perry for the most goals on their team, and you can get him at plus 380 to score a goal on the DK Sportsbook. Again, if you're more on the Rangers tonight, because I don't anticipate there'll be a lot of goals, I would just stick with the big guns on that side. You can get either Chris Kreider or Mika Zibanejad at plus 150 to score a goal, but I like the long shot Colton given that plus 380 value.
Okay, Paul, what do you think?
For me, the best bets are a couple of guys that play on the Tampa power play. No surprise that I'm going to say Steven Stamkos and Nikita Kucherov, plus 175, plus 160 are the payouts there. But I'm going to give you one on the Rangers side that is a big number, and it's right beside Artemi Panarin. He's had an ordinary playoff to date, I'll say, despite the Rangers' successful run. He hasn't really participated, and really, he's arguably their most skilled player, and I think he's long overdue to have an impact. Could happen tonight. If it does, he scores a goal. It's a plus 275 payout.
And Paul, you mentioned yesterday here on the show, like the Rangers went undefeated this season, including one shootout win against Tampa Bay, and only one of those games went over 5 goals here. So what's the bet tonight for this one? 5.5 goals is the total. Lightning minus 125 road favorites here.
The playoff version of Tampa is much stronger than the regular season one that the Rangers saw. And I don't see how you don't take Tampa tonight to win. I think you pair that with going under the total goal line. We've been hammering that theme all day today and maybe even yesterday too in anticipation. I think the home team will find this stage a little intimidating, and the defending champs are going to serve them up a pretty good lesson in the opener, I think.
All right, and AJ, one bet that was placed overnight. We have a customer that placed $175,000 on the Lightning to win their series against the Rangers and end up making it to the Stanley Cup here at minus 175, which would win the customer around $100,000, like if they actually do that. So does it start tonight with a win?
I do think it does start tonight, and I don't know if I'd take the risk on that bet just because you're not getting a lot of value here. But I do ultimately think that the Lightning will win the series starting with tonight's game. And talking about the total here, instead of taking the 5.5 here, you have to give up a little bit of juice at minus 125. Look to the alternate lines, alternate totals rather, and go under 5 at plus 135. You're not taking on a ton of more risk because you do have the push option then in play, but you're getting a lot more value. And then another alternate option is go with the 60-minute line of the Lightning at plus 120. It is a game that does project to go to overtime, but the fact that you can get some value on the Lightning, taking on that risk that it goes into OT, I think it's worth it, plus 120 there.
All right, guys, good stuff. Appreciate the help. So that's Game 1, Eastern Conference Finals going down tonight. We'll see Game 2 in the West tomorrow night. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow about that. We have PGA Tour. We're going to talk about some DFS for Jack's tournament right after this. All right, it's time to price check around the links here with RotoWire's Lynn Hochberg. We got Jeff Ulrich, DraftKings contributor here. Let's preview the best DFS plays in the following price ranges for the Memorial Tournament. We got 5 dudes north of 10K this week. Rahm, Rory, Cantlay, Morikawa, and Schauffele. Who is your favorite play in this price range, Len?
Hello to you, Jeff, and to Emerson. And I just want to stay right up top that I've been deputized by Reed Fowler to make sure no shenanigans go on this week. So that said, here we go. And congrats to Reed. Patrick Cantlay won last year when John Rahm had to withdraw. Patrick Cantlay playing pretty well this year. He beat Colin Morikawa in a playoff. Morikawa not playing so well this year. You know, the big story this year is Rahm and redemption and unfinished business and all that. But he just is not playing as well as he was last year. Last year at this time, he was winning the Memorial by 6 shots, went on to win the U.S. Open, probably the best month of his career. I'm going to go with Rory McIlroy, who was having a pretty good spring, 2nd at the Masters, 8th at the PGA. Yeah, he's not winning, 5th at the Wells Fargo. He's played pretty well here through the years. I think he's playing better than anyone, and this course is a pretty good fit for him.
Yeah, tough to argue against Rory right now, Jeff.
It is. It's hard to make a case against him, like for Cantlay or Rahm, even though Cantlay and Rahm obviously have just tremendous course history. You have to factor in recent form, though, and Rory's just been so much more consistent than each of those players. Still mashing off the tee. If his around the green game just takes a tick up this week, you've got to think he's probably going to get himself like really in contention, if not finally break through for that win. I think my favorite play, though, is probably Xander Schauffele at 10-2 for the simple fact that, again, we're talking about DFS. We have to factor in salary here. Schauffele's been almost as consistent as Rory, quite frankly. He just hasn't got as many accolades because Rory has been there on Sundays looking so close in majors. And then like he just gets the spotlight thrown on him. Schauffele's been really, really consistent, playing good through all facets of the game. And at 10-2, he's just easier to fit in your lineups than Rory. So I do like Schauffele as a starting point. Now, you can make like double 10K stacks here this week. We've got a 120-man field. I think the players in the 6K range, more viable, more playable than usual, especially on a tougher course. If they make the cut, it's going to be good for those lineups. But for me, it's Rory and Xander just slightly better for me, just based off the price alone.
Yeah, and his game is definitely looking like it's on the way up after not looking like after not kind of looking like himself for a lot of the
I think even
the season.
Reed would say Xander Schauffele is a good play this week. Like, I don't even think he would have made fun of me for bringing up Xander. So let's put it that way.
Do not put words into Reed Fowler's mouth, okay? Let's go between $9,000 and 10K here. So who's the best play in this $9,000 range, Jeff?
Yeah, again, I mean, like lots of value in the lower 9K range. I mean, Shane Lowry sticks out kind of like a sore thumb. Matthew Fitzpatrick continues to gain a million strokes around the green and putting every week and just bail people out with like these top tens. You have to give those guys respect. I still think the best upside play for the price is Victor Hovland at 9,300. We know the around the green game can get him. This is a tough green complexes this week, but Hovland, gained strokes everywhere except around the green last week. His putter looked confident. He's finished third at Muirfield Village back in the workday of 2020. I really have no reason to think like that we shouldn't be taking an elite tee to green player on this course like Victor Hovland. We've seen him compete really well at Bay Hill and Riviera this year, top fives at both those courses. I think those are very comparable setups to what we get at Muirfield every year. So 9,300 to me on Victor Hovland. When he's cheaper than Zalatoris, you kind of just got to play him, in my opinion. So I'm kind of buying in on Victor Hovland this week. At 9,300 to me, just looks like the best upside of that low 9K range.
Who's got the best upside in this range to you, Len?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Jeff said there. Victor Hovland, very favorably priced. I have not been on him in the majors because of the chipping woes, but I do like him a lot better this week. Shane Lowry, I like every week, and I do like him this week. But my favorite play in the nines is Will Zalatoris, who a lot of people might think should be in the tens. He's not even in the upper nines. He's 9,400, first on tour, strokes gained, tee to green, third in approach. Yes, he missed the cut last week at the Colonial. That was probably a good thing. That's not his specialty. The shorter, more technical tracks, these longer, harder tracks is really where he does his best work. And I was actually very surprised to see only 9,400. That's a green light for me.
Yeah, he's played his best, too, at these biggest events. So, wouldn't be a shocker to see his breakthrough victory come at Jack's place. How about between 8K and 9K? Who's your dude, Len?
Yeah, Cameron Young, we cannot kick him off the podium. 3-2-3, his last three starts, like him a lot. He's priced more than Max Homa, which is a mild surprise for me. Homa is my pick at 8,700. Homa leads the tour in par 5 scoring from 550 to 600 yards. That's a very important indicator for me this week. The 4 par 5s are all under 590 yards, all gettable. That's where you're going to have to do most of your scoring, and he's the absolute best on tour in that range. Starting to play better in other places other than just winning. And again, like Zalatoris, longer, harder tracks, his specialty.
Yeah, and in this year alone, he's got 7 top 15s. And Jeff, in his third trip to Muirfield Village last year, he placed T6.
This whole range is just chock full of guys who just seem like, they could pop this week. Obviously, we've seen Cameron Young just every week, but Max Homa, as Len alluded to, he's just a great fit for these courses. His wins have come at Quail Hollow, Riviera, and then like another tougher course in TPC Potomac. I mean, Muirfield Village just fits so nicely with like the round of courses that he's had success on, and he's playing really good, a super confident guy. But you've got Joaquin Niemann at 8,300, who's mispriced. So, I mean, you can make a case for anyone in this range. I'm going to make the case for Sung Jae Im this week. Sung Jae is absolutely my favorite play. He's 8,900, which I think is good for GPPs because all these other players are less expensive than him. It's going to be hard for a lot of players to just click on Sung Jae when you can get Homa for better value, when you could take a shot with Neiman. You could even go a GPP route and pivot to Daniel Berger. But Sungjae at 8,900 is really playing just as good, if not better, than a lot of these guys. His around the green game is gaining him like multiple strokes every week. His ball striking the last 2 times out he's gained over 5 strokes off the tee and on approach. These are the kind of stats you need at a place like Muirfield. We're just waiting for the putter to get hot. And when it does, like I think Sungjae is going to be there for a top 5. He's won on a Jack Nicklaus, redesign at the Honda Classic already. I know the course history with Sungjae isn't there, but he can certainly handle these longer, tougher golf courses like Augusta National, where he's top 10 twice over the last 3 years. So Sungjae M, to me, the guy in the 8K range, I want to go overweight on the most. But man, like this is a really interesting range this week. Multiple different ways you could go.
What about under 8K? You got some value, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, there's a really big drop off once you get under 7,500 this week. Like, it's precipitous. I mean, the low 7K range, it's like a dead zone. Like, you shouldn't dabble there too much. Yeah, you'll get some low ownership on guys, but I'm just not sure what the payoff is going to be. So, when we're looking, I think that the real sort of like upside sort of with value comes in the mid 7K range. I'm going to make a case for Jason Day here at 7,600. Like, we're not paying that much for Jason Day this week, and that's good. And, the risk is there. Like, we all know what the risk is with this guy, but we have to give him some credit, too. He's made 3 straight cuts in a row. He got himself in contention like 3 starts ago at the Wells Fargo on another tough golf course where he gained a bunch of strokes. And the around the green and putting is back. Like, he's just looking slightly more confident with each start. And if that swing starts to groove a little bit, like, you will see him pop up. So again, we need to consider not only consistency, but also upside. And I think when you look at this range, Jason Day brings as much upside as anyone, like between 7,500 and 7,900. So that's kind of where I want to go. He's got more risks than guys like Reed or even Kuchar, obviously, but I think the upside with Jason Day is going to start to flash as we head into the summer.
Len, I'm seeing Chris Kirk there, like $7,700. And we know a couple key stats this week: strokes gained, tee to green, strokes gained around the green. Like this season, he ranks 8th in both.
Yeah, I like Chris Kirk every week, and I do like him again. I mean, it just seems like if you pick him every week, he just can't play well every week, and he hasn't. So, I do like him, and I think I will have him in some lineups. Also at 7,700 is Adam Scott. Not the player he used to be, but still plays this course very well. He's only missed 1 cut through the years. I think he was top 20 last year. He was second as recently as 2019 when Cantlay won. Alex Noren, very close to returning to the top 50 in the world. He's played this course only 3 times, but the last 3 years, he was 13th last year. Very good numbers in the long par 4s, 450 to 500 yards. That's a key stat for me this week. And yeah, I'm with Jeff. I found very little to like in the 7,500 to 7,000 range. I'll just throw a couple of guys in the 6s who I think will make the cut, have made a lot of cuts here. I don't know about a high finish. Brendan Steele at 6,600, Lucas Glover at 6,500.
All right, guys, who's going to be the winner in Dublin, Ohio this week, Len?
Yeah, he's the best player who has not won on the PGA Tour. It's Will Zalatoris. He came close at the PGA. He just, is just complete player. And when, the putting is not there. Well, he's not a complete player. The putting is not there. But when you hit the ball to 3 feet, and this is a pro tip, everybody should listen to this, anyone who wants to improve at golf, when you hit the ball to 3 feet, your putting will improve. Will Zalatoris, not only got $9,400, he'll fit in so many lineups. He's like 30 to 1. There are 11 guys ahead of him on the sports book. The price is fantastic.
Jeff, who's the man who's going to win this thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go similar type of range. I'm going to go Sungjae M. Again, I mean, Sanjay's game just looks like really complete right now, and we know that he can sort of turn it on with the putter as well. Again, good record at Jack Nicklaus Designs, so I'll go Sungjae M. This event has given us like lots of sort of those that just slightly down from the top range winners. Bryson and Cantlay when they won in 2018, 2019. So I'll go Sungjae.
All right, guys. Good stuff. That's all the time we have. The matches tonight, by the way, and I know DraftKings is a big partner of that, so I hope everyone enjoys a little Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. So enjoy that. some bets on the DK Sportsbook you guys and gals can make. Jeff, I'll see you tonight for the slate at 5 o'clock. We'll talk much more golf. Also want to dive into the Live London field.
Lots of golf to talk about.
Yeah,
Lots
man.
of going on.
Yeah, it certainly is. Madden starts at high noon, guys, and this show's back tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time. So we'll see you then. Peace out.